Welcome to AMGC's information video on the Wind Energy Manufacturing Co-Investment Program. This program is a collaboration between the Advanced Manufacturing Growth Centre and the Western Australian Government's Department of Jobs, Tourism, Science and Innovation. And the purpose of this collaboration is to increase Western Australians' participation in the wind energy supply chain. Our presenters are Matthew Cronin, AMGC's WA State Director and Program Lead, and Ellen McGarity, AMGC's Business Manager. I'll now hand over to Matthew to start the information session.
Thank you, Angela, and welcome everyone. My name is Matthew Cronin and I am the AMGC State Director in Western Australia, and taking over from the able hands of Angela, who was the prior director and pretty much did all the work to set up this program. So thank you, Angela, and the team from JETSI, who I'll get to in a moment. I'm also joined by Ellen McGarity, and she's going to help walk us through a deeper understanding of the program and how the program can be run on our platform. Our wind energy manufacturing co-investment program is being run out of our offices in Spaces. It's a building in the Wentworth building on 300 Murray Street, Perth, on Noongar Whadjuk land. We're currently enjoying the transition from Cambrang to Barak, and we're hoping you're enjoying good weather where you are too. The next slide, we run through the agenda for the program that we want to provide an overview of, which to you today. I won't read out all the agenda items, other than you can see that they will cover everything from what is the program through to frequently asked questions. And then in between, my colleague Ellen is going to provide a live demonstration of the Good Grants portal. So what is the Wind Energy Manufacturing Co-Investment Program? AMGC and the Western Australian Government have established a co-funding program with the purpose of supporting WA businesses. As part of this program, AMGC has received $8 million in funding and will support projects in the Western Australian wind energy supply chains. The $8 million in funding or co-funding seeks to build capability and capacity of Western Australian businesses to participate in wind energy manufacturing and servicing supply chains. This $8 million in funding or co-investment is to be committed by 20th of May 2027, or we have a 3-year window in which to exhaust the funds and get these projects up and running. We have tight timeframes, and the quality of projects are therefore paramount, and that includes our ability to process applications in a nimble and agile way, whilst ensuring the maximum value we can. Feel free to jump in any time, team, as I go through these slides. I appreciate there's a bit of content. For those of you that are familiar with AMGC's programs, this slide won't be a surprise, in that this co-investment program will be open, continuous and competitive. The program will run until the funds are exhausted, and we will have a laser-like focus on quality. And I think, as you are probably aware, if you haven't worked with AMGC before, that's our brand, and that's what we want to focus our assessment and ultimately the project execution. You may or may not be familiar with the technical readiness scale, but we've tried to map the AMGC Smiley curve against those levels of technical readiness and our areas of focus. So AMGC, in collaboration with the Western Australian Government, has undertaken a substantive consultation with industry and local manufacturers to examine opportunities for local entities to enter the wind energy supply chain, including components, construction and maintenance undertaken in WA, and we have also completed a gap analysis report that underpins these key areas of focus or conclusions. Based on these research findings, we've developed the Wind Energy Manufacturing Co-Investment Program to target its initial co-funding at maximising program impact in the immediate term. So we really try to focus on the things where we can make the most difference, create the most value in that 3-year period between now and May 2027. The report that we've undertaken, that gap analysis report and consultation, found that there is a strong potential for WA manufacturers to meaningfully participate in specific parts of the wind energy supply chain. Key findings include what we're going to focus on the first 1 to 3 years, but we also have some recommendations around that 3 to 10 year horizon at the edge of this program. So, for example, immediate co-funding or co-investment by AMGC will be targeted at manufacturing opportunities for tower foundations, tower anchor cages, specific nacelle components, including gearboxes, slew bearings, and shafts, replacement parts and servicing, along with fabricating specialist trailers for moving large components such as blades. And I'll iterate the difference in horizons here as pertains to towers and blades, which I'm sure everyone's curious about. So, for example, in that medium term, the 3-year term, we are looking at nacelle assembly and developing a WA refurbishment centre, acting as a one-stop shop for all forms of maintenance operations, repairs for multiple OEMs, including potentially decommissioning or that in-service maintenance. Such a facility would allow economies of scale to develop, thereby reducing costs for OEMs and make such opportunities commercially viable. Now, that could include towers and blades, and I think the phrase we have used quite often is, it's not never, it's just not now. And so that 3 to 10-year horizon, we want to keep our eye on the ball. That includes offshore, but our immediate focus and concern are those onshore projects across these areas of focus. So as a result, the Wind Energy Manufacturing Co-Investment Program will target manufacturing opportunities addressing wind tower foundations, tower anchor cages, targeted nacelle components, replacement parts, and fabrication of specialised trailers. So as we alluded to in the prior slide, there are some additional things that we'd like to do to build that collaboration and that healthy ecosystem in WA. So as well as co-funding or co-investing in direct manufacturing opportunities, stakeholder engagement has indicated that the Western Australian Government should provide additional support to facilitate market development of wind energy manufacturing. This includes building a wind energy manufacturing summit, build or hold, to help build relationships between OEMs and local manufacturers and preparing an economic demand assessment of proposed wind farms across the state to understand the impact and timing on all aspects of the supply chain. As the number and scale of wind farms increase over the next 10 years, the viability of what can be manufactured locally is likely to change. Rising demand may lead to improvements in capability and capacity of local manufacturers, increased local know-how, improved trust between OEMs and WA manufacturers, and of course, economies of scale and hopefully scope. So how is the co-investment program structured? The diagram illustrates 2 key streams, and where we're looking to build capability and capacity of WA businesses to participate in the wind energy manufacturing and servicing supply chains based on existing or the development of new intellectual property. The program and these 2 streams, what we're calling market entry and market growth, are comprised as follows. The market entry stream, or stream A, is capability focused. We've listed some indicative project sizes between 20 and 60K, or the co-funding contribution of $10,000 to $30,000. That's indicative, and we would look to try and find opportunities to co-invest in pre-qualification, accreditation, niche software, process improvements, and that could include some digital aspects of different parts of the supply chain, as well as the development and construction of wind farms. The market growth stream can combine both that capability building element, but also capacity. So, for example, we would look at ways in which the right type of capital expenditure could make sense, building on that capability, which may be existing or could be latent. So bring those 2 capability and capacity elements together in a project size, again, indicatively of $500,000 to $1 million, or when you look at both streams together, 10,000 co-funded, up to 500 co-funded, or let's say 20,000 to a project size of $1 million, with a key caveat that we would normally only fund 25% of the project as CapEx or capital expenditure. Another footnote or thing to keep in mind is both the capital percentage, the project size, and the co-investment contribution is all subject to negotiation. That also includes those priority areas where if there's a project that, for example, we haven't thought of that makes a compelling value equation or value case, then we would definitely look at that and discuss, negotiate around those parameters which we've outlined when describing these streams of co-investment.
Matt, at this stage, it's probably also worth mentioning that we're very aware that the pipeline of work coming from the wind energy sector is quite variable and a little unpredictable at the moment. So it's worth us mentioning that we want applicants to be really clear that they are dedicating this assistance to entering the wind energy sector. However, we do appreciate that that might take some time. So whatever they're applying for may also be relevant in other sectors in the meantime while they're building up that pipeline of work. And that fits in really nicely with the WA government's Diversify WA strategy.
Yeah, no, thank you, Angela. And I think that most of the people on this particular video audience list would appreciate the fact that the capricious nature of the energy transition, as well as the supply-demand interactions for wind energy projects, is evolving on a daily, if not hourly basis. So yeah, that's a great point. And just to embellish maybe some of the detail in and around the streams of work, we are looking for successful applicants to contribute a minimum of 50% of those eligible project costs as cash contributions, and we would then match that dollar for dollar. We're also want to make sure that applicants aren't looking to fund their contribution from other grants or funding, including Commonwealth, state, territory, or local government sources. And really, we want to make sure we're getting the right kind of use in kind or non-financial contributions to match the funding. Applicants will be asked to provide evidence of their ability to fund their contribution in their application. And also importantly, we're looking for collaboration. So consortia, partnerships, or other joint venture arrangements will be able to apply if not encouraged or mandatory. But they may be that these arrangements, if you bring a collaborator with you, must be made with someone who has a WA base, WA footprint, and include at least one SME partner. And we'll talk about the size of the companies in a subsequent slide. So overall, in summary, the intended outcome of the co-investment program is to increase the capability, capacity, and competitiveness of WA manufacturers through the implementation of technologies, and to increase productivity and create jobs in the WA wind energy supply chains. So once we finish this video, you'll be able to log onto our website and access a range of support materials. We've also created a guidance to applicants document that outlines the detail of everything you need to know before applying for co-investment. It covers areas such as the purpose of the co-investment, the eligibility criteria, how to apply, the project review, approval, and closeout process, and how the milestones will be tracked and funds dispersed. So it's quite comprehensive, and I suggest you read this before applying. Also, feel free to pick up the phone, and we'll also Ange and I will make ourselves available for consultations as required, either virtually or one-on-one. And then the website itself has a host of information that we'd encourage you to join as a member, as a guest. There's also a paid membership program, but there's lots of information in there available, including our broad network of members.
I think most applicants will find all the information they need with the information that's provided on the website. And it's probably a really good idea to look through that before requesting a chat with Matt or myself.
Yeah, thank you, Ange. We're hoping we're going to be inundated with applications, so we're going to make the best use of everyone's time. So what is the co-investment process? So the first step is for applicants to undertake a self-assessment via the eligibility criteria before being able to access the full application form. And in the subsequent slide, we'll go through what those eligibility criteria are. So AMGC, Ange and myself, we're available to work with applicants to refine and improve your responses and overall applications over time. If you meet the eligibility criteria, the full application form will open and applicants will then be reviewed by a review committee for each stream and assessed against some merit criteria, which we'll also run through in a subsequent slide. If the applicant is successful and the project meets those key criteria, the applicant will then enter into a project agreement with AMGC. Then the project starts, funds are dispersed, and then we start to manage against those agreed milestones. I think it's important to note that if applicants are successful and we do enter a project agreement, it's highly likely there'll be an announcement made by the WA government and AMGC following that crystallisation of our agreement. So just keeping that in mind, I think is important because we all want to make sure that our brands are put forward in the best light possible, but also we want to make sure that we deliver a high quality, high value set of a portfolio of projects. So what does the eligibility check look like? So we would like the applicant to really work through and contemplate these questions before entering into the full application form. The purpose is that applicants get an idea of what's going to be required of them in terms of the provision of data and information. If you can answer yes to all of these questions in that self-assessment, then the full application form will open. So then if you feel as though either you've got the right level of information, the right types of projects, and you've then opened up the full form, then you'll see questions that are kind of grouped into these kinds of priorities against which we've assigned some weighting. So the application form will ask questions that relate to the assessment criteria that's published on the AMGC website. The amount of detail supporting evidence you provide in your application should be relative to the size of the project, the complexity, and the funding amount required. You should also provide evidence to support your answers. The application form displays size limits for answers. So you'll be able to get a gauge of, for example, this question typically requires a 1,000-word response, or there'll be some tables which allow you to put in things like your projected or forecast revenue or cash flow, forecast numbers of jobs to be created, etc. We will only consider funding applications that score highly, 50% or more, against each assessment criteria, as these represent the best value for money. We'll work with you to verify the details of your application, and we really want people to be as successful as possible. So we are definitely here to help. And Ange has a significant amount of experience over many years working with businesses through these kinds of processes, right through to project execution, delivery, and value realisation.
And the reason we go through this process, it's quite vigorous, but we want to set companies up for success and want to make sure that there's a really good match between what we're trying to achieve for the state of WA and what companies are trying to achieve. So we want it to be an all-round win for everybody. And this is a great process and a way of making sure that that's the way it'll go.
Yeah, thank you. And without embarrassing Angela, I think we're also finding through our experience that the process itself is actually sometimes beneficial to business planning, strategic planning, and getting organisations aware of these opportunities which sometimes seem to be shimmering on the horizon and bring them into the now. So to assist in financial viability and risk assessment of potential financial failure, just want the applicants to be aware that you will need to answer some key questions relating to the businesses and office bearers' financial history, provide a declaration of solvency, provide copies of prior years and current years and or interim financial statements, and provide cash flow projections for the business for the next 12 months, highlighting key assumptions underlying these projections or forecasts and the impact that this project may have on your business plan, etc. So now I'm going to hand over to my colleague, Ellen, who will provide a live demonstration of the Good Grants platform. Over to you, Ellen. I'll stop sharing.
Thanks, Matt. So I'm starting off today on AMGC's website. So this is where the link to the Good Grants portal will be, as well as all of the documents related to the program. So you have your market entry and your market growth application examples, your guidance to applicants, merit criteria, frequently asked questions, as well as an example of the project agreement. So you can access them all here at amgc.org.au. You can access Good Grants via the link. And then this takes you through to our Good Grants portal. So if you're a first-time user, you'll have to put in your email address and then go through the prompts to register. As I've logged in before, it remembers me straight away. And then you'll be on our Good Grants platform. So if you have applications that you are currently working on, they'll appear down the bottom here under My Applications. Otherwise, if it's your first application that you're submitting, you'll just click the Start Application button just there. So then this is what the application form will look like. When you first start your application, you will only have the first 3 tabs, so up until the eligibility checker, that will be available to you to complete until this eligibility checker has been run. So to start with, you'll pick the stream that you'll be applying for, whether it's stream A or stream B, market entry or market growth. Enter your project title, and then all people who are applying for the program need to be an AMGC member. So you can use our link here to our membership page. You don't have to be a paid member. You just need to have at minimum a guest profile on our membership portal. You will then need to input your ABN and your ACN, noting that grant funding is only available to Australian registered companies. And then another area of focus of this section is the project priority areas. So you need to select one from this list. There's further information here on the right-hand side if you need help deciding which area you fit into. And then these are the checklist documents that Matt mentioned earlier. So your letter from your accountant, your profit and loss statement, and your balance sheet. You will then confirm that you've read the merit criteria, which is at the top of this page, and that you are aware that you need to have at least 50% to meet the criteria for the grant. So down the bottom, we have a save and next, a save and close, or a preview button, save and next to go through to the next page. And then you have some further questions around the lead applicant organisation. So these are questions around foreign ownership of your business. Is the business Indigenous owned? Where you're located, your revenue, your company size, your details, and then which sub-industry your company belongs to. Matt noted this earlier, but it is of importance that you cannot match the cash contribution that AMGC makes with other government funds. So you will need to indicate that whether you will be doing this or not here. So you'll then get through to the eligibility checker. These are all yes or no questions. You will need to answer them all in line with the eligibility criteria to be allowed access to the remainder of the application form. Normally down the bottom here, there will be an option that says check eligibility. You will just check that box and then it will release the remainder of the application if you have met all the eligibility criteria. So then through to the project overview, you have how much grant funding you're seeking for the application, the expected project duration, where the project will be run, and then just a summary of the project.
I have a question for you, Ellen. If you're going through this application form and you get busy and you need to just save, can you save it and then come back to it at another time?
Yeah, definitely. So you can scroll down to the bottom and just use the save and close, as well as if you're in the application and you have details that you want to input for other tabs, you can click in between and just use the save and next option down the bottom. So you don't have to work through it in sequence. You can come in and out as you please. Good question, Ange. So this is more in for the nitty-gritty details of the project. So you'll see we have the word counts here that Matt mentioned earlier to give you an idea of how much information we're looking to get from you in these sections. And then specifically the revenue and the jobs that will be created as a result of the project. And then as well evidence to provide the validity of the sales projections that you've provided above here. Also a risk assessment, it's a standard risk assessment, which is some more information below to help you fill that out. And then further details of the different sections that were provided in the merit criteria. So then this is a little bit more information about you, your experience, demonstrating your track record of managing similar projects and your financial viability and your IP strategy going forward if it's applicable. Then we get into the budget and milestones section. So this is where you'll need to indicate how much AMGC funding you are requesting. Your matching contribution, as Matt mentioned, it's a matching contribution dollar for dollar. So whatever you would like AMGC to provide, you will need to match in dollars, as well as then any in-kind contributions that you're aware of that will be made to the project. And then we're getting into each of the milestones. So you'll be setting out your milestone dates, a summary, and then providing further detail into the figures that you provided above, breaking them down through the different suppliers who'll be contributing to each milestone.
So we're talking about milestones, Ellen. Oh, sorry to interrupt. Yeah. While we're talking about milestones, it's worth noting that the payment schedule is based on completion of each milestone. So successful applicants don't get the whole lot of money up front. They do get a milestone payment up front, but the next milestone is paid once the previous milestone's been completed.
Yeah, and it's worth noting that we provide space for 7 milestones. Anything further than that, it's worth having a conversation with Matt or Ange around consolidating milestones, just to make sure that we're really staying on top of the dates and the timeframe that the program needs to be run within. Then you're adding in your project collaborators. As Matt mentioned, collaborators are a requirement. So just putting in all of the details, depending on how many collaborators you have. There is options down at the bottom to add more collaborators. And then this is the last tab of the application form. So this is where you will upload the letter from your accountant, your profit and loss statements, balance sheets, and any other supporting documentation to support your application as it goes through for review. And then once you have completed the application, there will be a submit button down the bottom here for you to send it through, and then it will start the review process through with Matt and Ange. Anything else that Ange or Matt you would like to add or question?
No, superb. Thank you. I was just going to, sorry, Ange, I was just going to re-emphasize the timing of the milestones and making sure that we are disciplined in getting the projects up and running and implemented within that investment horizon. Yeah, back to you, Ange.
Yeah, the milestones actually, I've run a few projects in the past, and the feedback I've had from applicants is that having the milestones has been really beneficial. Some of the larger companies are used to working in that way, but for those who are not, they have found that a really great way to manage their project. So it's really worth thinking about what the milestones will be in your project, what's achievable and realistic, and working with that.
Super, thank you very much. I'm just going to share my slide again, and I think we've covered off a lot of these frequently asked questions and topics. These will be available on our webpage, but as always, I think we're trying to re-emphasise as much as we can that Ange, myself, and the team who we rely on the East Coast and the NT are there to support, including just talking through what are those milestones, what makes sense, what is the highest quality application or the best foot forward possible prior to, but also if successful during the delivery of that project. You know, we're here to help, and we're here to conduct site visits. We'll meet you in our offices here in Perth, and we'll also talk about how we can schedule online consultations. I won't go through the FAQs in detail. However, you know, as we're doing, just re-emphasising some of these things around, you know, the matched funding is key, the highest quality applications in a continuous open competitive process, indicative sizes of projects and co-investment amounts, all subject to negotiation. Yes, we would typically only fund 25% of total project costs as capital expenditure, but again, on a case-by-case basis. And we will definitely review exceptional applications. I'll just move to the next slide, where again we're emphasising that milestone by milestone basis of reviewing and dispersing the funds in advance of each milestone, but also that closeout is also key, making sure we demonstrate value for money of the project and the program. Then we will look towards the end of the project and the project finalisation report, including those successes or failures, lessons learned that we can incorporate and share, the jobs that have potentially been created or forecast to be created, upskilling in STEM skills that have been utilised and used, and then those domestic and export sales and revenue goals and targets, and ideally achievements. So in summary, Ange, Ellen, feel free to jump in, but we're now live. The website's available. It's a rich source of information. The portal itself is up and running and open to applications. Thank you again, Ellen, for your hard work. The email address is available. And of course, our contact details are also shared on various sources, including our LinkedIn pages. And we'll have some media announcements coming out from ourselves and the government, which you will have received by now, hopefully. Ange, anything you would like to add?
Yeah, really excited about this collaboration program. We really hope we can get local manufacturers involved in the wind energy manufacturing space. And yeah, we encourage you to look at all the information we've sent and then contact us if you've got some ideas or questions.
Okay, thank you, everybody. That's the end of the video presentation, and we look to hearing from you soon.